Hey, welcome to the Russet Compass. This is your host, Will Finch, and today we are enjoying the beautiful weather out here in Georgia, right here on the Georgia-Florida border. So, man, it's been a crazy week. Moving around, getting everything just situated and just going. It's been pretty stressful. But, like I talked about last week, you gotta learn to manage that stuff. Storms don't last forever, and you just got to keep moving or outlast them. But yeah, man, I've done a lot of things this week and went and did my first photo shoot for a wedding. It was pretty fun. Got the opportunity down there in Orlando, so I had to drive down again. It was about 3.5 hours. Drive down, drive back, do all that good stuff and just kind of figure that out. So we got, looks like a bee trying to buzz all up in my camera, so that's funny. We'll let it go. So if you see anything flying around, that's probably why. But anyway, yeah, it was cool getting out there, put myself out there. You gotta make yourself vulnerable. I've shot a lot of photography, just never a high stakes photography. I guess that would, because you can't really kind of go back and redo a wedding, right? Of course, unless you get remarried. But bless those people. I think they'll be okay. They seem pretty happy with each other. They're gonna be just fine. But it was a beautiful wedding, nice venue, really awesome pictures. I got to do some detail shots. Then I had to do some behind the scenes shots for the bride and then the groom and all them getting ready and everything. So that was kind of a cool little thing that I got to be a part of. So that was pretty grateful. But that's not what we're talking about this week. This week, I think the big thing is kind of finding your path, really. Seems like everything is trying to reroute me to a destiny or a calling or something of some sort, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm basically obtaining a lot of resistance, and because I got my path that I know I want to do, and I'm going to do it, which I am doing. And I'm finding a lot of resistance. So do I just keep pushing? You just got to find these things, and it's just figuring that stuff out. And a lot of that goes with our life. My current living situation, I'm here in Georgia now. Well, barely in Georgia. I could probably throw a rock and hit Florida. But I want to be down in Orlando, but there was the place I was staying at. It didn't work out because apparently you got to be 55 or older to stay in this one RV park that I was staying at. And it was about the only one I could afford at the time. So, because I was trying to get my feet up underneath me and get stood up and get some photography going, some video stuff, just get stood up and everything, and while still maintaining my RV and everything else. So it's just like, man, the world was working against me, or as some might say, change your mindset and see what's this trying to teach you. But no, I definitely think there's some outside sources that were kind of manipulating that, but that's a different story. My main thing, though, is through all this, and I just have a ton of knowledge that it seems like a lot of people just don't have. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody, whatever the case is, but throughout all these life scenarios that I've been through, whether they were forced on me or, due to my own doings, nonetheless, I walk down all these paths. But the biggest thing is I'm able to help people through a bunch of different stuff. I have a couple veteran friends that I deal with quite frequently, and they usually are dealing with some stuff that I'm able to help them with because I've probably been through it or done some kind of something similar. Or even just dealing with changes or basically jumping into a whole new career path after the military, or just a regular person that decides, hey, this job isn't aligned with what I want to really do in life, and maybe they just don't know how to go about just making that drastic of a change, or realize it's really not that drastic of a change, and you just got to go do it. It's not going to be easy at the beginning, of course, but there's also ways that you can just kind of transition into these things. And what I mean by that is, I spent most of my life being a mechanic, doing hard labor stuff, blue collar stuff. Then one day I decided, well, maybe I just want to do something that's going to take less of a toll on my body. That way I can enjoy my older ages, 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, if 80s, if I get there. But I basically took that and was like, well, what can I do, So I just started shooting photography, writing music, performing, DJing. It's funny, my phone just dinged and when I said writing music. So the universe is telling me something there, right? We'll go write music and tell your stories. That's kind of what I'm getting from a lot of this stuff. But, I like to capture things. I love capturing candid moments and the beauty of stuff. So that was pretty cool that I got to do that with the photography this weekend. Along with, of course, capturing, the first kiss and all that good stuff, that everybody wants out of a wedding. But some of that other candid stuff, like the event part of it, people gathering around, celebrating what's to come, or all that good stuff. Even down to the talking with the bartenders and the waitresses and waiters and stuff, and everyone around. It was just a really good environment to capture a lot of good stuff that maybe you take for granted, or you just don't understand, or even know. Maybe not understand. Maybe you do. Who am I to say? But the thing is, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to transition from backbreaking work and go into something, well, less backbreaking. Not because I couldn't do it or whatever. My mindset has changed over the years, and it's kind of how I want to go about it. And like I said, I've fought a lot of resistance in this, and a lot of tests and battles, probably to test my faith and just everything else going on. But it's been just a constant struggle, especially just moving up here because I found a work camp situation where I could, put in a few hours a day, and then I stay here for free, and then I get to do some other things. But I think this may or may not work out for me. We'll see. Just kind of take it day by day, step by step type of thing. But we got a hawk circling. Nice. Maybe an eagle. Squirrel. Anyway, yeah, it's come to my attention that throughout all these life things I've done and gone and done and just whatever the case, there's been a lot of jealousy and enviness and all this other stuff probably towards it. And I'm just like, dude, you guys can go do this stuff too. It just doesn't take as much as you probably think, or as much planning as you think, or maybe it does. And maybe I just underplan. I don't know. But I go do things because I'd rather not spend my money on, clothes or, luxury items or stuff like that. I'd rather go find a new restaurant that's 300 miles away, or maybe a hiking trail, or go out and actually live life, or go on a motorcycle ride, because I absolutely love doing that, and go find a new mountainous ridge or something that I could go take photos of, go see and interact with, cultures and everything. So those are the types of things I like. And, I don't have a whole lot of money at all. I just live with what I got, and I just go make things happen. Like I found this place. I'm not paying rent here. I do pay, my RV payment, but the getting out there and just doing all these different things, and a lot of my stuff comes from, I don't want to say failures, but my attempts of learning new things and just realizing it wasn't for me, or maybe I got bored with it, or whatever the case was. It stopped challenging me. But I've obtained this vast amount of knowledge in a ton of different areas, probably just because of trial and error and just trying to figure out what I like to do and what I don't like to do. And that's all part of that little journey, and self-discovery and all that good stuff. But it's just one of those things, man, that I have the knowledge and I'm willing to share and help anyone that that it doesn't matter to me. If you need help, man, just let me know. Maybe I'll give you some pointers on something, or maybe give you a new perspective on something, because I'm pretty good at that. But my friend, he reached out to me and was talking through some of his problems that he had and what he was dealing with, and he kind of felt alone, that he was the only one going through something. I was like, nah, bro, absolutely not. I may be doing all this stuff that looks cool and everything, but I struggle every freaking day. Whether it's, my own mental health lacking sometimes, because I don't always rest, because I'm kind of that high performing person, so I'm constantly going and doing and everything. And sometimes I forget to even eat. Sometimes I need to slow down, eat. I made a video today about, slowing down. Sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. And, what that means to me is, sometimes you got to take a second to pause and kind of, be grateful, really. Is what it boils down to, of what you're doing and already getting up. And then also you're pausing to gain some clarity, because sometimes we get hyper focused on the goal itself, that we kind of build a box around us, and that's all we can see is that. So my entire life lesson, maybe not life lesson, but because there's many of those, my whole life goal basically was, not life goal, but more so as a kid, I seen everybody was trying to think outside the box. Well, I decided I wanted to just get rid of that box, and I guess I've been trying to figure out how to think inside the box most of my life. So that's kind of my approach to things, is the outside of the box. Everyone's trying to figure out how to be out of the box. Well, because you guys put yourself in the box. So that's why you're trying to figure that out, is how to get out of it. Well, I decided not to have the box at all, and I live a completely different style of life. And sure, it's stressful a lot of times, but so is everybody else's lives too. And the point I'm getting at is, a lot of times we see a bunch of people on social media, or just judging everybody else's lives, but we forget the life that we're living and all this other stuff that really is kind of a grateful thing. But you're not always necessarily where you want to be, but you are on your way to that if you keep putting in your work and your plans and executing on all these things, and moving forward. And sometimes the steps look very small, but it's still a step forward, and people got to recognize and understand that. And that's something I've had to deal with too, is understanding that kind of thing. So what I'm saying is, like, my buddy asked me, he's like, man, I thought I was the only one struggling with all this stuff. I was like, nah, man. In fact, most of us are. Just nobody's saying about it. Or speaking, my bad, speaking about it. And really, he put himself in a vulnerable position, really, as a dude, just to even bring that up. And I thought that was kind of cool, because people don't ever talk about this. We always just want to highlight the successes and stuff, but man, to actually understand the successes, I think we need to highlight the failures, because oftentimes, man, you don't see the hundreds and thousands of hours that people are putting in to get the result that took them 10, maybe 10 seconds, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever. So you got to understand that when you watch a video or something, or a tutorial maybe, or whatever the case is, someone live painting or something, or playing basketball, or whatever the case is, you don't forget that they probably dedicated their entire life to that. Or um, maybe sometimes, people are naturally good at stuff, but you still got to practice the stuff. So you got to put in the time, the work, and the effort. And so understand, like, you know, he was taught. What I'm getting at is, he was talking about his living situation, where he went from being in the military to going to school, and then eventually being almost homeless, or being homeless for a little while. Then he got back on his feet, went back to school, and doing good things. But he just felt like a failure and everything. And I was like, nah, man, look what you overcome. You were up, you went down, ups and downs, ups and downs. And I was like, dude, you've overcome everything that you've went through. And not everything is sunshine and rainbows, man. I'll tell you that much. And, I related to him. I listened to him, first of all. And then I was like, nah, man, you're not the only one going through that. In fact, a lot of people I talk to go through that same stuff. And I've personally have went through that. I was in the military, got out. I was raising hell, riding motorcycles around, just no any kind of structure in my life, nothing. And I was just going down a really bad, mentally stable spot in my life, where I was just having kind of a crash out. And then I had to build myself back up. And then I keep hitting all these other roadblocks trying to knock me back down. And I'm like, no, because I'm not going back to where I was, and that is my holding ground of where things are. And I was just telling him kind of about this stuff and my life stuff, and kind of reassured him that, hey, man, you're doing good. And he ended up thanking me, and he was like, man, I always reach out to you, and I'm telling you about this and that. And I was like, man, I never even asked you how you're doing. I was like, bro, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing okay. I struggling with the same stuff. But if I can ever help, go for it, man. Reach out. I'll take 10, 15 minutes to talk to you, man. Because at the end of the day, man, it's not about what we're accomplishing. It's the impact we leave on people, And I really want to leave that good impact on everyone that's around me. I learned an early lesson in life when I was young. Well, I was an adult, but it's one of the first lessons I learned in the military was when you receive something, or you get something, or you arrive at a new location, leave it better than you left. Leave it better than when you received it. And I don't know why, but that's always stuck with me, and I took that to heart. And when people, and I take that even into my day-to-day conversations. Did I add value to this conversation? If it's a no, then or even in the midst of it, if I'm not adding value to something, I'm going to take myself out of that situation. And also, in hindsight, if it's not adding value to me, I get rid of it. There's no reason to hold on to something that's not adding value to your life. And that causes a lot of overturn and a lot of change, and a lot of struggles and strifes, but a lot of good benefits and positive things that come from that I've found. And yeah, man, it's been pretty eye-opening for me to have a bunch of these people come up and talk to me. And I've always had people talk to me, and I've always been that person that people can talk to. So I think for the most part, anyway. But yeah, man, it's just kind of my life journey at the moment, and it's all part of it, I think. But I do help out a lot of people, and I try to help out everyone I can. Of course, I can't get to everybody. Uh, there's just too many. I need more of me, but um, yeah, man, it was just eye opening, and that's what I kind of wanted to talk about today. Is if you feel alone or that you're just going through a struggle that you don't think anybody else is, well, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're wrong. Chances are, most people are struggling with what you're struggling with, and you're just needing help managing it or even understanding it maybe sometimes. And you know, who knows? Maybe that's my calling or something, is to help people understand things. Um, but who knows? Well, I guess we're gonna find out what kind of happens. I just want to ride motorcycles and enjoy life. Uh, but the the fact of the matter is, a lot of us struggle, but you're not alone, because we're all struggling in parallel universes, right? Like, we're all walking down the sidewalk, all struggling with the same things, not knowing we're struggling with the same things. So, that's where I've kind of understood that from an early age, because I understand, like, maybe from the perspective of me being hurt, or getting butt hurt, or even just being sensitive to a situation that I felt odd or awkward, and I was like, I just don't want other people feeling that way from me, making them. I can't make them feel any type of way, but I can sure um, manipulate that situation to get those feelings, and that's not something that I like to do anyway. But if anything, you'd like to just not necessarily sugarcoat anything, because anyone that knows me knows I don't really do that well. Sugarcoating, which is funny because I eat a lot of sugar, but the doctor says otherwise. I should probably stop doing that. But anyway, it's probably not going to stop unless I have to. But the the hindsight of that, or maybe that's not even the right word I'm using, but uh, basically what I'm saying is, like, you just got to go for it sometimes, man. So you got to be out there helping people. You got to be kind. That's what I was saying. I got sidetracked. My bad. So back to what I was saying. We're all dealing with problems, and you just got to understand that we all are dealing with it. So if someone snaps at you or just whatever, that's their own projection of how they're feeling, man. It's not necessarily you. I mean, you could be absolutely the problem, but you never know. But you could react or respond, a certain way. And those are just skills and traits you gotta practice and learn. And they're not easy, but over time they do become easier. Like me staying so calm and collective amongst chaos. Like, I've had to learn to survive in chaos, and I thrive in chaos. When it's calm and everything's going smooth, that's my chaos, and I'm just like, oh, what's going on? But a lot of people don't understand that, at least military folks, that's like how we were trained and taught to be. And from our young age of 18, 17 even, and then you get in that mindset of everything, and you gotta take a step back and kind of pause and take a breath and realize, hey man, that's not the scenario anymore. Let's change it. So yeah, man, it's just one of those things, man, that I've been thinking about lately, and I'd like to share that with everybody. But just know, if you guys are going through stuff, it is important to have those people that you can go to and talk to about some of this stuff. Not everybody has that, though. I know many years I probably did, but I didn't realize I did. Um, you just got to figure that out, really. And, it comes with time. But, yeah, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Anything? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff out there that a lot of people are dealing with, and I hate to see that they're dealing with, but sometimes, having to deal with that stuff is kind of part of the process. That I really hate to jump on that bandwagon and say trust the process, but it's one of those things that sometimes you just do have to trust the process. And hopefully it works, and things may not always work out how you want it to. You just got to be open. You got to open your mind and be aligned to new things. And those things may not be what you expected. But it's just how life goes, You can always change it, man. Just remember that. If you don't like your situation or you just don't like something, it really is that easy just to change it. Don't bury yourself in that box I spoke of earlier and, oh, yeah, I got to do it this. No, you don't. I assure you, you don't have to do it that way. There's a multitude of different things to go about at different scenarios and situations. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some things that have to be done in a certain order. But oftentimes most things aren't that way. So, man, if I can leave it with anything today is you're definitely not alone. You're not struggling alone. We're all struggling. Some of us just carry it a whole lot easier, or make it look easier. But we're all still struggling. I may look like I'm got myself well put together, but man, I've come to terms, well, I just recently found out that all these years I thought my executive skills and my functions were pretty good with planning and all this other stuff, but turns out I really suck at it. So I need a secretary or something. So if anyone wants to do that or start planning with me or my marketing or whatever. But who knows, man? Like, you just got to figure this stuff out, It's going to be one of those things. But you just got to find your spot and then run with it. But also be okay with being uncomfortable. That's how you grow. So if I leave you guys with those things, just understand, be kind, be courteous to people. Maybe somebody is having a bad day. Don't make it worse. And yeah, just be kind, man. Never know what anyone's going through. So just know you're not alone. You're not struggling alone. And if you need someone to reach out to me, or I can get you in the right direction of someone to go to. There's a lot of resources out there. Yeah. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and you've got to enjoy such a nice day like I have. So thank you again for watching and listening to me babble. But this is the Rusted Compass, and I'm Will, the host. You guys have a good one.